never believed in ghosts. Until the night I took a shortcut through St. Michael's Cemetery. It was late October, just past 11, and I was walking home from my friend's house. The usual route would have taken 40 minutes, but cutting through the graveyard shaved off 15. I'd done it twice before during the day. It seemed harmless enough, just rows of old headstones and a paved path that led directly to my street. The gate was unlocked, which I thought was strange for that hour. It creaked as I pushed it open, the sound cutting through the cold air. I remember thinking the groundskeeper must have forgotten to lock up. I stepped inside. The path was well lit by street lamps from the road, at least for the first 100 feet. I walked quickly, hands in my pockets, breath visible in the October chill. The graves on either side were old, some dating back to the 1800s. Moss covered many of the stones. I kept my eyes on the path ahead. Then I heard footsteps behind me. They matched my pace exactly. When I sped up, they sped up. When I slowed down, they slowed down. I stopped completely and turned around. The path behind me was empty. Nothing but headstones and shadows. I stood there for a moment, listening. Silence. Just the distant hum of traffic. I convinced myself it was an echo and kept walking. The path curved deeper into the cemetery, away from the streetlights. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the narrow trail ahead. The graves here were newer, with polished granite and fresh flowers. Some had small solar lights that flickered weakly. That's when I noticed the footsteps again. But this time, they weren't behind me. They were beside me. I stopped. The footsteps continued for 2 more beats, then stopped. I swept my phone light across the graves to my right. Nothing, just rows of silent stones. My heart was pounding now, but I told myself to stay calm. Cemeteries are disorienting at night. Sounds bounce off headstones. It's just acoustics. I started walking again, faster this time. The footsteps returned immediately, keeping perfect pace beside me on the grass between the graves. I didn't stop this time. I didn't look. I just walked, eyes locked on the path ahead, counting down the distance to the far gate. Maybe 200 feet, maybe less. Then my phone light flickered and went out. The battery was at 40% when I checked it. I tapped the screen frantically, but it stayed black. The darkness was total. No moon, no stars behind the thick cloud cover. I couldn't see the path. I couldn't see my own hands, but I could hear breathing. It was slow and steady, just a few feet to my right. Not my breathing. I was holding my breath without realizing it. This was someone else, something else. The sound was wet, labored, like air passing through something it shouldn't. I ran. I didn't know if I was still on the path. My feet hit uneven ground, and I stumbled over something, a grave border, maybe, but caught myself. Branches from an overgrown bush scraped my face. I kept running, hands out in front of me, praying I wouldn't slam into a headstone. Behind me, something was running too. Not footsteps anymore. A shuffling, dragging sound, moving faster than I was. My phone suddenly blazed back to life in my hand, the light blinding. I could see the path again, 10 feet to my left. I veered toward it and sprinted. The exit gate was ahead, maybe 50 feet, the street beyond it glowing like salvation. The dragging sound stopped. I slowed down, gasping, and glanced back with my phone light. The path behind me was empty. No movement, no sound, just rows of graves fading into darkness. My hands were shaking. I stood there, trying to catch my breath, trying to make sense of what just happened. That's when I saw it. One of the graves near the path had been disturbed. Fresh dirt was scattered around the base of the headstone, and the grass looked torn up, like something had pushed up from underneath. The flowers that had been there were now several feet away, trampled into the ground. I didn't remember seeing that damage when I passed by moments before. I backed away slowly, keeping my light on the grave. The headstone read Michael Brennan, 1847-1903. Below that, a single line: he waits in the dark. My phone flickered again. The screen glitched, showing my home screen, then the camera app, then nothing. In the split second the camera was open, I saw the preview image. Someone was standing directly behind me in the frame. I spun around, light sweeping in a wild arc. Nothing. No one. Just the empty path and the gate beyond. I didn't wait. I ran the last 50 feet and slammed into the gate with my shoulder. It swung open, and I stumbled onto the sidewalk outside. The street was normal. A car passed by. A dog barked in the distance. I bent over, hands on my knees, gulping air. My phone was working fine now, battery still at 40%, no glitches. I looked back at the cemetery. The gate was swinging slowly shut, and then I saw the footprints. They were in the thin layer of frost on the sidewalk, leading from the gate. Not my footprints. I was still standing in the same spot. These were beside mine. Bare footprints, small like a child's. They led down the sidewalk about 10 feet, then stopped abruptly in the middle of the concrete. I walked home a different route, the long way, staying under every streetlight. The next morning, I looked up St. Michael's Cemetery online. There were stories, old ones, about people who went missing near there in the early 1900s. They'd find them days later, wandering the roads around the graveyard, unable to remember where they'd been. Some never came back at all. One article mentioned Michael Brennan specifically. He was the groundskeeper. He died in the cemetery under suspicious circumstances. They found him in the morning, lying on the path, no visible injuries. His shoes were missing. His feet were bare and covered in dirt, like he'd been walking through fresh graves all night. The article ended with a line from a witness, another groundskeeper who found the body. His eyes were open, staring at something above him. he was smiling. I haven't gone near that cemetery since. But sometimes, late at night, I check the camera roll on my phone. The photo from that night is still there, the one the glitch captured. I've zoomed in on the background 100 times, looking at the figure standing behind me. I can never quite make out the face, but I can see the bare feet. And in every photo I've taken since then, no matter where I am, if I zoom in far enough on the dark spaces in the background, I can see them. The footprints, getting closer. I haven't gone near that cemetery since. But sometimes, late at night, I check the camera roll on my phone. The photo from that night is still there, the one the glitch captured. I've zoomed in on the background 100 times, looking at the figure standing behind me. I can never quite make out the face, but I can see the bare feet. Last week, I was walking home from work, the long way, under every streetlight like always. I passed a shop window and saw my reflection. I stopped. Behind my reflection, barely visible in the glass, was another shape. I spun around. The street was empty, but when I looked back at the window, the shape was still there, still standing behind where I should be. I don't look at reflections anymore. Not in windows, not in mirrors, not in my phone screen when it's dark. Because every time I do, I see the same thing in the background, a little closer than before. Always barefoot, always smiling. My apartment is on the 3rd floor. Last night, I heard something outside my bedroom window. Not tapping, just breathing, soft and wet, like someone standing on the other side of the glass. There's no balcony, no fire escape, nothing but a 3-story drop to concrete. I didn't open the curtains. I won't open them. But every night, the breathing comes back. And this morning, I found a smudge on the window. On the outside, a small handprint in the frost. The graveyard shift at Morton Hill Cemetery wasn't supposed to be like this. I took the job because it paid better than anything else I could find, and because nobody else wanted it. 3 nights a week, midnight to 6 a.m., I'd patrol the grounds with a flashlight and a radio. The owner, Mr. Hess, said it was mostly to deter vandals. Bored teenagers sometimes hopped the fence to drink or spray paint the older monuments. He gave me 3 rules on my first night. Stay on the paved roads. Don't go into the mausoleum. And if I hear someone calling my name, don't answer. I laughed at the last one. He didn't. The first 2 weeks were uneventful. I'd drive my car slowly along the winding cemetery roads, windows down, listening to podcasts. Occasionally, I'd see a raccoon or a deer. Once, I found a group of kids near the old section and chased them off. Easy money. Then things changed. It started with the messages. I was parked near the central fountain, reading on my phone, when a text came through from an unknown number. Just 3 words. Turn around, David. My name. I looked up at the rearview mirror. Nothing but headstones in my headlights. I checked my side mirrors. Empty. I texted back, "Who is this?" No response. I waited for 5 minutes, then got out of the car with my flashlight. I walked a slow circle around the vehicle, checking between the nearby graves. Nothing out of place. No footprints in the dewy grass. No sign anyone had been there. I got back in the car and sat there, door locked, heart beating a little too fast. The phone buzzed again. Same number, behind you. I spun in my seat. The back of the car was empty. I checked the mirrors again. Nothing. The phone buzzed a third time before I could even process it. "I'm always behind you." Then the messages stopped. I didn't mention it to Mr. Hess. It felt ridiculous. Probably just someone messing with me. Maybe one of the kids I'd chased off. But the next night, I kept the car doors locked and checked my mirrors more often than the road ahead. The second incident happened near the mausoleum. I wasn't trying to break Mr. Hess's rule. I was just driving past it on my usual route when I noticed the door was open. Just slightly, maybe 6 inches, but enough to see darkness beyond. I stopped the car and stared at it. The mausoleum was old, made of gray stone with a heavy iron door. I'd never seen it open before. It was always sealed, padlocked. I grabbed my flashlight and approached slowly, stopping about 10 feet away. The padlock was still in place, still locked, but the door was open. That wasn't possible. I stood there, trying to make sense of it, when I heard something from inside. A shuffling sound, like fabric dragging across stone. Then silence. I took a step back. The door moved. Not much, just an inch, but I saw it. It opened wider, slowly, like someone was pulling it from the inside. I got back in my car and drove to the other side of the cemetery. I sat there for 20 minutes, radio clutched in my hand, debating whether to call Mr. Hess. Finally, I drove back to check on it. The door was closed, padlock still in place. I didn't go near the mausoleum after that. The third night was when I broke the first rule. I was patrolling the east section when I saw footprints in the frost. Fresh ones, leading off the paved road into the grass between the graves. Small footprints. A child's, maybe. They led deeper into the older section, where the monuments were crumbling and the trees grew thick. I should have stayed on the road. But what if some kid had wandered in and gotten lost? It was nearly 2 a.m. freezing. I had to check. I followed the footprints. They wove between headstones, always moving deeper into the cemetery. I called out a few times, "Hello? Is anyone out here?" But got no response. The footprints were clear in my flashlight beam, small and bare. Who would be out here barefoot in October? Then the footprint stopped, not at a grave or a tree, just in the middle of the grass, between 2 headstones. They simply ended, like whoever made them had vanished into the air. I turned in a slow circle, searching for where they might continue. Nothing. That's when I realized how quiet it was. No wind, no distant traffic, no animals, just silence, thick and wrong. I started walking back toward the road faster now, but I couldn't find it. The headstones all looked the same in the dark. I should have been able to see my car's headlights, but there was nothing. Then I heard my name. David. It came from behind me, soft and clear. A woman's voice. I stopped walking, but didn't turn around. Mr. Hess's third rule echoed in my head. If you hear someone calling your name, don't answer. David, help me. Closer now. I started walking again, not running, just walking quickly, eyes scanning for the road. My flashlight beam seemed weaker somehow, like the darkness was pressing in. David, please. Right behind me now. I could feel breath on the back of my neck, cold breath. I ran. I crashed through low-hanging branches, stumbled over grave borders, but kept moving. Finally, I saw light ahead, my car, still running where I'd left it. I sprinted the last 30 feet and threw myself into the driver's seat, slamming the door. In the rearview mirror, I saw her, a woman in a white dress, standing exactly where I'd just come from. She was too far away to make out details, but I could see her raising one arm, pointing at me. I drove away without looking back. The next morning, I checked my phone. More messages from the unknown number, all sent while I was in the cemetery. You shouldn't have followed them. Stay on the road. She knows your name now. I called Mr. Hess and told him I was done. He didn't ask why. He just said, "How long did you last?" 3 weeks, I said. Longer than most, he replied, and hung up. I blocked the unknown number, but the messages still come through. Different numbers now, always unknown. They're getting more specific. I saw you at the grocery store. Nice apartment. I'm closer than you think. Last night, I woke up at 2 a.m. to another message. Look outside your window. I didn't look. I'm not going to look. But I can hear something out there on the other side of the glass. Breathing and footsteps in the frost. I called Mr. Hess and told him I was done. He didn't ask why. He just said, "How long did you last?" 3 weeks, I said. Longer than most, he replied, and hung up. I blocked the unknown number, but messages still come through sometimes. Different numbers, always unknown. I don't read them anymore. I just delete them and try to forget. But 3 months later, I still can't shake the feeling that something followed me home. It's small things. I'll hear footsteps in my apartment hallway late at night, stopping right outside my door. When I check the peephole, no one's there. Sometimes I wake up and my bedroom door is open, even though I always lock it. Always. Last week, my neighbor asked me if I was okay. Said she heard me talking to someone in my apartment at 2 in the morning. But I live alone. The worst part is the cold spots. I'll be sitting on my couch, watching TV, and suddenly the temperature drops. Just in one area, like someone's standing right next to me. I can feel the cold radiating from the space beside me, moving when I move. Sometimes I hear breathing. I tried to tell myself it was pipes, or the heater, or my imagination. But 2 nights ago, I came home to find wet footprints in my kitchen. Small, barefoot, leading from my front door to my bedroom, then stopping beside my bed. My apartment is on the 4th floor. The door was locked. I didn't sleep here last night. I stayed at a friend's place. But this morning, he asked me why I was standing in his hallway at 3 a.m., just staring at his bedroom door. I wasn't. I was asleep on his couch. I don't know where to go anymore. Because wherever I am, around 2 a.m., the cold spot appears. And somewhere nearby, I hear my name whispered in a voice I don't recognize. She knows where I am. She's always known. My girlfriend Emma wanted to do a photo project for her college art class, and she chose Riverside Cemetery because of the light. Golden hour hits different there, she said, scrolling through location scouting photos on her phone. All those old trees and angel statues. It'll be beautiful. I agreed to go with her. It was early November, still light at 5 p.m., and the cemetery was public. We'd just walk around for an hour while she took pictures. What could go wrong? We arrived just as the sun was starting to lower. Emma was right. The place was beautiful in that melancholy way old cemeteries are. Huge oak trees with bare branches, weathered headstones casting long shadows, stone angels staring at nothing. She immediately started setting up shots. I wandered nearby, reading the names on graves while she worked. Most were from the 1920s and 30s. Some had photos embedded in the stones, faded faces staring out from another era. I stopped at one that caught my attention. The headstone showed a young woman, maybe 20, with dark hair and pale skin. The photo was clearer than the others, almost like it had been taken recently. Below it read, Sarah Mitchell, 1900 to 1924. Beloved daughter. Waiting. Just waiting, not resting or at peace. Waiting. Babe, stand over there, Emma called, gesturing toward a cluster of graves. I want you in this shot for scale. I moved where she pointed and stood still while she clicked off several photos. The sun was dropping faster now, the golden light turning orange, then red. Shadows stretched across the cemetery like reaching fingers. Got it, Emma said, checking her camera screen. She frowned. That's weird. What? There's someone else in the shot. Behind you. I turned around. No one was there, just headstones and trees. Where? She walked over and showed me the camera screen. In the photo, I could clearly see myself standing among the graves. And behind me, barely visible between two headstones, was a figure in white. Blurry, like they'd moved during the exposure, but definitely there. We both turned to look at the spot. Empty. Probably just a lens flare, I said, but my voice sounded uncertain. Emma took another photo of the same area. When she checked it, Her face went pale. She showed me the screen without speaking. The figure was closer. Still blurry, still in white. But now it was between the headstones where I'd been standing. We stared at the empty space in front of us. Nothing. No one. We should go, I said. Emma nodded, but she was already backing toward the path. We walked quickly toward the parking lot, about a quarter mile away. The sun was nearly down now, the cemetery filling with twilight. I kept looking back, expecting to see someone following us. Halfway to the car, Emma stopped. Did you hear that? What? Footsteps on the gravel. We stood silent, listening. I heard them too. Someone walking on the path behind us, maybe 30 feet back. The steady crunch of footsteps on gravel. We turned to look. The path was empty, but the footsteps continued, getting closer. We ran. We didn't make it far before Emma tripped on a crack in the path and went down hard, her camera flying from her hands. I helped her up, and she grabbed for the camera. But when she looked at the screen, she let out a small cry. What is it? She turned the camera toward me. It had landed facing back the way we came, and in the impact, it had taken a photo. In the image, clear as day, was a woman in a white dress standing on the path behind us. Her face was in shadow, but her posture was wrong, bent at an angle, like something was broken inside. Leave it, I said. Leave the camera. We need to go. But Emma was already scrolling back through her photos, her hands shaking. She's in all of them, she whispered. Every single photo I took today. She's in the background of everyone, getting closer each time. I looked over her shoulder. She was right. In the first photos, the figure was barely visible, far in the distance. But as Emma had moved through the cemetery, the woman had appeared in each shot, always a little nearer. The last photo before the camera fell was a close-up of an angel statue Emma had photographed. In the polished marble base of the statue, clear as a reflection, was the woman's face. She was smiling. We need to go now, I said, pulling Emma toward the parking lot. We made it to the car and locked the doors. I started the engine with shaking hands and drove toward the cemetery exit. Emma was still staring at her camera screen, scrolling through the photos. Stop looking at them, I said. There's one more, she whispered. A photo I didn't take. She turned the camera toward me. The screen showed a photo taken at 5:47 p.m. 3 minutes ago. It was a shot of Emma and me sitting in the car, taken from the back seat. I looked in the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty. We didn't speak on the drive home. Emma deleted all the photos from that day, then deleted them from the trash folder. Then factory reset her camera for good measure. We told ourselves it was a glitch, corrupted files, a weird reflection. But that night, Emma got an email from an unknown sender. No subject line, just an attached photo. She called me, crying, and sent me the image. It was a photo of Emma asleep in her bed, taken from her doorway. The metadata showed it had been taken at 2:34 a.m., 15 minutes before she woke up and found the email. We filed a police report. They found no signs of forced entry, no footprints, nothing. The detective asked if we had any ex-partners or stalkers. We said no. He said to install better locks and call if anything else happened. Things were quiet for 3 days. Then Emma's roommate sent her a message. "Why are you standing in the hallway? You're scaring me." Emma was at class. She called her roommate immediately. "What are you talking about?" "You're standing outside my bedroom door," her roommate said. "I can see your shadow under the door." "This isn't funny, Emma." "I'm not home," Emma said. "I'm on campus. Call the police." Her roommate hung up. Emma tried calling back, but it went to voicemail. Campus security drove Emma home. When they arrived, her roommate was sitting on the front steps, pale and shaking. She was in the hallway, the roommate said, standing there for 20 minutes. I heard her breathing. Then she just left. The police searched the apartment. No one was there. But in the hallway, they found wet footprints. Small, bare feet, leading from Emma's bedroom door to the front entrance, then stopping. The water was ice cold. Emma moved in with me that night. We thought she'd be safer here, that whatever this was would stay at her apartment. We were wrong. Last night, I woke up at 3 a.m. to find Emma standing at the foot of the bed, staring at me. I sat up, groggy. "What's wrong?" She didn't answer, didn't move, just stared, her face expressionless. "Emma." Then my phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Emma. "I'm in the bathroom. Who's in the bedroom with you?" I looked at the figure at the foot of the bed. It smiled at me. Not Emma's smile. The bathroom door burst open, and Emma screamed. The figure at the foot of the bed turned to look at her, head tilting at an impossible angle. Then it took a step toward Emma. I don't remember much after that. I know I grabbed Emma. I know we ran. I know we're at a hotel now, 3 hours away, and we've been here for 2 days. But Emma keeps getting photos, sent from her own phone number to her own phone. Photos of us in this hotel room, taken from the corner near the ceiling. Photos of us sleeping. Photos of me writing this. And in the last photo, sent 5 minutes ago, there's a figure standing next to the bed. She's not blurry anymore. We can see her face clearly now. It's Sarah Mitchell from the headstone, the woman who's been waiting. Emma is in the shower. I'm sitting here, typing, trying to figure out what to do. The bathroom door just opened, but I didn't hear the water turn off. I don't want to look up, but I can see her shadow on the wall, stretching toward me, and I can hear Emma's voice, muffled, coming from somewhere far away, screaming my name. We filed a police report. They found no signs of forced entry, no footprints, nothing. The detective asked if we had any ex-partners or stalkers. We said no. He said to install better locks and call if anything else happened. That was 4 months ago. We moved to a new city, new apartment, new jobs. We don't talk about what happened at the cemetery. Emma got a new camera and phone. We convinced ourselves we'd left it behind. But Emma's been acting strange lately. She sleeps too much. Sometimes I catch her staring at nothing, her eyes unfocused, like she's listening to something I can't hear. When I ask if she's okay, she smiles and says she's fine. But it's not her smile. Last week, I woke up at 3 a.m. and she wasn't in bed. I found her standing in the living room, facing the wall. When I touched her shoulder, she didn't react for several seconds. Then she turned slowly and looked at me like she didn't recognize me. "Did you hear her?" she asked. "Hear who?" "She's calling me. She wants me to come back." Emma had no memory of it in the morning. She thought I was making it up, but it keeps happening. I'll find her standing in strange places, by the window, in the bathroom with the lights off, once in the hallway outside our apartment at 4 a.m., still asleep. Our neighbor found her and knocked on our door. Yesterday, I came home early and heard Emma talking to someone in the bedroom. I opened the door. She was alone, sitting on the edge of the bed, having a full conversation with the empty space beside her. When she saw me, she stopped mid-sentence and smiled. "Sorry, I was just..." She trailed off, looking confused, like she'd forgotten what she was doing. I checked her phone while she was in the shower. Her photo gallery had new pictures in it, hundreds of them, all taken over the past few weeks. Pictures of our apartment, pictures of me sleeping, pictures of Emma standing in dark rooms, and in every single photo in the background is the same blurry figure in white. A little clearer each time. The most recent photo was taken this morning while I was at work. It shows Emma sitting on our couch. The figure is sitting next to her, close enough to touch. I haven't told Emma about the photos. I don't know how. Because when I look at her now, really look at her, I see small changes. The way she tilts her head, the way she stands too still for too long, the way she smiles at nothing. Last night, she asked me if I remembered Sarah. "Sarah who?" I said. "From the cemetery. Sarah Mitchell. She's very patient. She's been waiting for such a long time." I never told Emma the name on that headstone. I never told anyone. Emma's in the kitchen now, making coffee. She's been standing at the counter for 10 minutes, not moving, just staring out the window. I can see her reflection in the glass, but there are two reflections. Emma's standing next to the counter, but in the window, there are two figures standing side by side, both perfectly still. I don't know which one is my girlfriend anymore, and I don't know what to do when the other one turns around.